Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 607 is a result of the pari-mutuel wagering task force that took place over the interim. We had 5 meetings. It included myself, gentleman from Bourbon, gentleman from Jefferson 46, the gentleman from Todd, here from the House. And obviously that task force resulted from the passage of Senate Bill 120 last year regarding historical horse racing. So I bring you House Bill 607. First thing I would like to do is ask the clerk to report House Committee Substitute 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 607.
Gentleman Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute makes very small changes. There was a couple proposed changes that came out in the original bill that caused a little consternation into the industry, so we reverted back to the way things are done now in the current statute. So there was 4 words that were crossed out, and those 4 words are being reinserted. And I would move adoption of House Committee Substitute 1.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right, this bill does several things to modernize our pari-mutuel wagering system in Kentucky. First thing it does is it taxes every pari-mutuel wager at 1.5%. So right now there are 3 different rates of taxes that are paid when you make a pari-mutuel wager. First of all, if you wager on your phone on an app, those are called ADWs, Advanced Deposit Wagering, you are taxed at 0.5%. If you play an HHR machine or you're at a track and you wager at a window or at a machine on a live race that's going on at that point, those are taxed at 1.5%. If you're at a track wagering on a race that is taking place somewhere else at a window or at a machine, it's taxed at 3%. Now, I'm sure all those tax rates made sense at one point, but we don't think they make sense anymore. So we even them all out and make them all 1.5%. So that increase in the ADW tax, we passed, I believe, last year, Mr. Speaker. That was your bill, and it passed unanimously to raise that fee or that tax from 0.5 to 1.5. So just about everybody in here has already voted for that. Next thing we do is we change the distribution of live and HHR taxes to direct more money to the general fund. There were concerns last year that the general fund was not getting enough money from HHR machines. And the focus at the time was on whether or not that tax rate is high enough. And we heard from both the track and from the Kentucky Policy Group. Kentucky Policy Group obviously did not believe that they were adequate. During the meeting, I asked them, and I had to work very hard to be allowed with my co-chair to get them to be able to testify. But I wanted them to have their say, and they said it wasn't high enough, and I asked them directly, what would your recommendation be? And they did not have one, and they have not given me one since. So, but what I think I've done in a creative manner is underneath, for lack of a better term, we'll call it in the base, as we say, and they use in the budgetary language. Taxes get spread to a lot of different areas, and what we're doing is with the Thoroughbred Development Fund and Standardbred Development Fund, where those monies go into the purses, we put a cap at which, when that cap is met in a calendar year, at that point, the rate at which it goes into that fund goes down precipitously, and the remainder goes into the general fund. I will get back to what all those numbers will generate. We direct funds for the first time to the University of Kentucky and BCTCS equine industry programs. These funds from Live and HHR have been funding the Louisville equine industry program for many years, and now we're going to start funding those other two. It eliminates the antiquated admissions tax. Every track was assessed a 15-cent fee for everyone that walked into the track. Well, when you're looking at Churchill and Keeneland, they have tickets, they have turnstiles, they know how many people come in and out every day. Kentucky Downs, Ellis Park, Red Mile, Turfway, they don't have turnstiles, they have no idea. They were estimating. It's $150,000. We're taking that out. We don't want to, there's no way to enforce it, frankly, when you don't have turnstiles and don't know how many people show up every day. We include language to require the Kentucky Racing Commission to be self-funding. We've been subsidizing them out of the general fund for years. There's enough of the HHR machines now that they can levy fees on those to handle their operations. So that's going to save $3 million a year. Requires operators to maintain a self-exclusion list and share that list with the Racing Commission for other operators to use. This is standard in a lot of casinos across the country, and I think it's appropriate to do here, which is if you, for whatever reason, you don't want to come back for a week, a month, a year, the rest of your life, when you're there, you can say, hey, don't let me in here anymore, okay? Don't let me in here for the next month. I need to take a break. And they will put you on that list. They will share that list with the Racing Commission so that hopefully it works across all the tracks in Kentucky for however long you wish to be on that list. And we also put language in there to say that list is not subject to public records. I checked with Amy Benson-Haver on the topic, made sure she was good with that, and she was. One of my favorite parts of this bill is it eliminates what's called breakage. If you've wagered at a track before, you know that on especially win, play, show bets, hold on, I'd hate for you to miss all the goodness that's in this bill. Those bets are rounded down to the nearest 20 cents. But that's not what the actual payoff is. But they've been winding down like that for decades, maybe 100 years, just like the admissions tax. It's antiquated. You're going to get paid as a bettor to the penny going forward when this bill passes. As I said in the task force, we took care of everyone in HHR, all the people to make the show go, except for the bettors. And we're going to take care of the bettors. And in addition to taking care of the bettors, we're going to make Kentucky the most desirable place if you want to wager on horses in North America. And that's going to create more revenue. That's going to create more opportunities for our tracks and provide a lot of success. It also takes all the restrictions off what sort of races the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund monies can be used for Kentucky breds. Those monies go to Kentucky breds. If you run a Florida bred in Kentucky, we appreciate that, but you're not eligible for as much money as Kentucky breds are. But these claiming races have not been able to use them. They're the bottom of the barrel. They're for the everyday kind of starting off trainers and owners who maybe don't have the best horses. And this is going to make those races much more interesting for Kentucky breds to run in and keep those horses here running in Kentucky. On the anticipated revenue, the increase in the ADW tax should raise $4 million immediately every year, and that will continue to rise over time as ADW continues to have a larger market or larger percentage of the market of wagers. $3 million a year on the Racing Commission being self-funding, so that's $7 million immediately. And we believe that as the HHR market becomes more mature in a couple of years, With the changes that are made, it's going to direct $20 million into an additional $20 million into the general fund. So hopefully in a couple of years that'll be $27 million, and that will continue to rise over time. Now that is on top of the increases that the general fund have seen from historical horse racing. In 2016, the general fund saw $4 million from HHR machines. In 2021, it saw $41 million. So it went up 10 times in a span of 5 years. And in this year, we're estimating it to be $62 million, which will be a 50% increase. So those increases are happening whether we pass this bill or not. We're getting additional money on top of that in this bill.